Okay, so first off, apologies because I kind of wanted to make this video the day this came out, and I don't know, I got sidetracked, and then I kind of left for a week, and it just didn't happen, and now it's like 3 weeks later. So apologies for that on the lateness, but I do want to kind of go over this CVE, which I found pretty fucking crazy, and just kind of points out, you know, some core security issues that A, containers have, and Linux servers in general, and B, like how unikernels just like totally prevent this stuff. Um, so what are we looking at? We're looking at CVE 2025-32463. This is the recent Sudo um, vulnerability. And what makes it so problematic is that it's so brain dead to execute. Now, if you have nightly updates working on your Ubuntu servers, you're probably good. Um, in fact, I filmed this so late that the box I was gonna show this on, I had already upgraded accidentally, and but then I found another box that had it. So there's that. Um, and then but yeah, so to quickly go over it, essentially, let's just look at this code. This is some sample code that we that we found on GitHub, and it's just like a POC. So we have it in here. So I just took this. This is some sample code from Rich that he wrote up. Rich is the author of this blog post. He's the one over at Stratascale that mentioned this. This blog post is interesting because it actually lists two CVEs, not one, but two. And we can kind of quickly look at what happens here. So first off, he creates this small little library, and basically all it does is override the effective user ID and effective group ID, and then changes directory and execs bash. Pretty basic. And so you're like, okay, well, how is this a vulnerability? Well, what happens is he makes this fake directory, and then he throws it into libnss. So libnss is provides things like name service and all this sort of stuff, and etc switch. All these files are called via sudo, and so one thing that a lot of people were talking about with this was they were thinking that, oh, well, you have to have a line in the sudo's file to actually run this, and that line is pretty, it's almost never there. But that's actually not true. That's not true at all, because sudo itself actually calls Chroot multiple times in its processing. Think about that. Sudo, something that like every sysadmin uses pretty much every day, 1,000 times. It in of itself, it's calling Chroot. That's really problematic, right? And we don't even have to talk about how many lines of code sudo is. It's large. But yeah, just to kind of really show it to you real quick. See, instantly we're root. It's pretty bad. Now there's I mentioned that sudo invokes chroot regardless of whether or not there's sudo rules configured, but that's pretty bad, because if we look at chroot, and just to drill in on this, the man page for chroot, man to chroot, go to security, says right here, in particular, it's not intended to be used for any kind of security purpose, neither to fully sandbox a process, nor to restrict file system calls. Yeah, and then it goes on to state, in the past, Chroot has been used by daemons to restrict themselves prior to passing pass, supplied by untrusted users to system calls such as Chroot. I mean, it just kind of goes on, right? Point is, Chroot fucking sucks from a security perspective, and the fact that Sudo is calling it multiple times is pretty bad. There's probably other security issues there. Uh, and it just really highlights a couple of things with unikernels. First off, we don't really have the concept of Chroot. We don't think that it's something that provides isolation, as clearly pointed out here. And this entire little local privilege escalation that we have here. So this is what it's called, local privilege. Like right now, I'm 1008 is my ID. But when I execute this, I can go to 0, right? So that's a local privilege escalation. The problem with this, when it comes to unikernels, is that if I have a local account on the server as an attacker, not as a sysadmin, but as like an attacker, you're pretty much done for already. Like it's very, very short that I'm going to escalate my privileges. I will find something. I will, and we don't have to be a determination state threat actor. I will find something, and you will be screwed. This could be a web server that I'm on, and guess what? That web server probably talks to a database, and I can probably find that database's username, password, host. I can probably directly connect to it, right? And then I can jump into that host, and then like if it's Postgres, I can probably issue an exec call and spawn a shell on that database server. Do you see how crazy it is to allow users on your servers? I know some old gray beards are going like, well, this is how we do things and yada, yada, yada. But I think we're way past that now. You really shouldn't allow users on your servers. Local privilege escalation, things like this are just a dime a dozen. This is a particularly bad one. But like you wouldn't even be able to execute this with users. And it goes deeper than me having a shell on this, right? It's also the fact that, again, we don't have Chroot. We don't have exec. We can't change users. This is a big one. We can't change users. We don't have the notion of multiple privilege states in unikernel land. It's a huge freaking deal. You gotta think about this. There is no privilege escalation because there are no different states of privileges to escalate to. When you wrap your head around this idea and you start removing all this garbage nonsense from the 70s and the 80s, this is like decades before some of you guys were born, by the way, right? When you remove this, you get rid of all these issues. And so things like this, which are seriously a dime a dozen every year, they just start going away. And it doesn't get rid of every security issue, but it does get rid of stuff like this. This is stupid. You shouldn't be able to do this in 2025. So yeah, this is kind of a rambling rant, but I just wanted to draw in on this as an example. And again, I apologize that the video is late. If you wanted to reproduce yourself, as you can see, this is 1914. I think they patched it in 1915. So that would tell you whether or not you can execute this. But if you can't, just wait 2 or 3 months. You're gonna find something else, unless you're using Nanos unikernels. All right, till next time.